And what I really want to do now is think about, well, third degree price discrimination, can I actually achieve an efficient outcome? So I'm not sure how many of you guys have kind of stepped through this, but the short answer is yes, it's actually possible. So with the first degree, you guys have seen this, okay, where you have demand and you have marginal revenue and you have MC, okay? Sorry for my dodgy diagram. And then you know that that's your profit maximizing quantity. Okay, you get QM, PM, and this is your Q star, and that would then be the P star if you're perfectly competitive, and that's your deadweight loss. So what in effect is happening when you're thinking about third degree price discrimination? With third degree price discrimination, you can identify which markets you're in, right? So what you're effectively doing is you can basically say, I know roughly, for example, some of these people are pensioners, some of them are concessions, are basically students and they get concessions. So in effect, you can kind of bust up this demand curve into 3 or 4 different parts. And how do you maximize profits? Well, same rule that you've always been applying. You would apply where you would basically produce up to the point where marginal revenue equals to marginal cost, right? So just to give you a slightly more concrete example, I'm just going to exit here and step through one in the review slide so that you're kind of a little bit clearer of where we're heading. Okay. So with third degree price discrimination, okay, the key thing is that we can charge different price based on different observable attributes or characteristics. Like the example I've given is a student versus a pensioner. Okay, so the example that is given in the review slides is this one here. So if you sort of go back, I don't know, 10, 20 slides, what you would have seen is that we had a market where we had different prices for Italians, French, Americans, Canadians, and you then have Brazilians. Okay, so if you were applying first degree price discrimination, what you're effectively doing is saying, okay, I can charge the Italian exactly 85 cents. I can charge the French 65 cents. I'm going to charge Americans 45. Canadians 25, and I'm going to charge Brazilians 5 cents. Okay, that's effectively what you're saying. And then you'd say, well, should I produce or shouldn't I produce for the Italians? Well, 85 cents is my marginal revenue. And what is my marginal cost? Well, the marginal cost in this case is 5 cents. So yes, I would actually want to produce for the Italians. For the French, would I want to do it? Well, 65 is greater than 5 cents. So yes, I would definitely want to do it. And then so forth and so forth. And that would basically enable you to extract all of the surplus from all of these different markets. Third degree, like I said, is a cruder form. It's saying, well, I can't actually quite differentiate between the Italian and the French. I know that I have a European market, and I know, roughly speaking, that when you're in Europe, you can either have to be Italian or French, and I know that Italians, right, the price I would charge is 85, for the French it's 65, but the question is, how should I actually even produce for this market? Should I actually produce it? And if so, how far should I go? Okay. So if I were to set the price at 85, okay, then all the Italians will come, and that's all good because 85 is greater than 5 cents. So hence I would make a profit. But then what if I wanted to also serve the French? And should I actually continue? Well, the answer is, well, let's do the analysis. what is the additional revenue I would get if I served also the French people, right? I know that if I charged a price of 65, both Italian and French would want the product. So if that were the case, right, I can't actually differentiate between the two consumers. By doing that, I can then calculate the revenues. I can only charge one price, which is then 65 cents, okay? And I know that the quantity is 400, so 0.65 by 400 is 260. And then if I were to then calculate the marginal revenue, I would find that it would be roughly 0.45. So do I actually want to serve both of these people? Well, 0.45 is greater than 0.05. So yes, absolutely, right? So the same sort of thinking applies to when I think about the North American market. We have the Americans and we have the Canadians. The Americans are willing to pay 0.45. Canadian is 0.25, right? So if I were to set a price of 0.45, only the Americans would be willing to purchase the product. But if I were to set the price at 0.25, I could grab both American and Canadian consumers. And from that, I would then say, well, okay, what is then the marginal revenue should I actually produce if I serve both markets, right? And what you're going to find is that you will have 0.05. My marginal cost is 0.05. So yes, I would want to serve both markets. And finally, for the Brazilians, well, I would then say, okay, there's only really one particular price. There's only one marginal cost. So would I be willing to serve the market? Well, the answer is yes. So the key thing here is that, for example, if you look at the North American market and the European market, there are two types of consumers, but I actually can't differentiate between these two within each of the market. I can differentiate across markets, but not within. And that's the key difference. But notice how I maximize profit. What I've done is I've effectively split up the market into three different types, and then chosen where marginal revenue equals to marginal cost. Okay? So again, don't be intimidated. The analysis that still applies is pretty much the same across what you've learned to date. Okay? So that's pretty much it for this week. If you have any particular requests of what you want me to do next week, please let me know. Other than that, I wish you all the best, and don't forget to please hand in your critiques on time. All the very best.